Hey, Bold Thinkers, it's Kanisha from boldlivingtoday.com. Thank you to everyone who has reached out to me about the Teen Self-Esteem Month. I am so excited that it's being well received. I love hearing from you, and I'm glad you're enjoying the tips and tools in my Instagram and Facebook stories. You can check these out each day of this month in May, and my subscribers to the Bold Living Today community, to the newsletter, you will receive a copy of all 31 of the tips. So make sure you're on the list. You can see the link in my bio, and it'll also be at the end of this video. Um, let's see, today I wanted to answer, I'm doing a little reading here. I wanted to answer a question that someone sent to me about supporting their teen. And here's the question. Let's see, let me start here. Okay. Working from home and schooling from home has gotten old. We are basically zoomed out and mentally exhausted. How can we work through this? I get it. I hear you. I'm hearing this from a lot of people expressing the same sentiment and expressing the same ideas. Even my clients, they've confessed to me that they are tired of the constant invitations for Zoom meetups. They feel like just because we're stuck in the house, choosing to be in the house, that we have to be occupied all the time with some sort of video conferences. And I always say, I think it's important that we remember that this current state of remote working, remote learning, remote hanging out, it's not the norm. It's not the norm because right now we really don't have any choice in how we get together, how we work, how we learn, how we socialize. So I think there's just been this extra onslaught to be um, on video conference, to be seeing each other in this platform, to be seeing each other in this way. And even with us knowing that we're trying to keep each other safe, keep ourselves safe, there are so many rules and parameters that we're all contending with. And, we're trying to get things done and we are mentally exhausted. It's been a lot. It is a lot. It continues to be a lot because we're not exactly sure when it'll end. So I know it's hard to stay motivated right now. And, we have to have some self compassion with ourselves about all of this because there's no clear rule book and we want to take good care of ourselves. We want to support our teens. We're trying to be good role models, but there's just not one good way to do it. There's all this trial and error that we're all going through. So these are just some suggestions and some tips that I have used, that I've supported my own college age daughter with, and my son, and hopefully you'll find them useful to you if you are struggling with some video conferencing fatigue, or Zoom fatigue as people call it. So one thing you can try to do is, when you're on a video conference situation, if you can use the speaker view and just pin the speaker to the top, or pin the teacher to the top, that might be helpful. Sometimes that gallery view, with seeing all the faces, seeing all the movements, trying to read body language and all of that, they might be overstimulating and very distracting. I know a lot of the teachers are out there trying to monitor their students and they want to see them on the screen, but that's not always the optimal way of learning for our teens and for our students. So if you can fully participate in the lesson and get permission to turn your camera off, try that. Talk with your teacher, talk with your professor. In that case, I have a collaborative call each week, and I'm on the call with 6 different people. And, we take turns with being the note taker. So when I'm not the note taker, I turn my camera off. Of course, I'm participating audio wise, and I can see the shared screen of whoever is presenting, but they can't necessarily see me. And I don't want to zone out and I don't want to tune out. So I have my hula hoop, my trusty hula hoop, and I will use that to get me engaged and keep me engaged. But then I don't have the other participants seeing me hula hooping, which will be distracting to them. So that's just one way that I keep my mind from wandering. I'm focused, but I'm also not having getting distracted or zoning out from different things. So, we have to ask for what we need in these cases. I know a lot of teens, as I mentioned before, don't have this option, but you might want to have an offline conversation with your teacher or professor and just let them know how you're feeling. Or, a parent and a teen can work together, send an email, let the teacher know how they're feeling, and say, hey, how can we come up with an alternative to this Zoom fatigue so that I can still be engaged in a lesson and still fit the expectation, but not have, the camera turned on to me the whole time. My son's school decided a few weeks ago to end the school day early every Friday to help combat with the Zoom fatigue. The school sent out a survey to the students, and a majority of the students said that they needed a break from the screen. Like, it was too much to be on the screen, for the school hours every day of the week. So since then, the school has implemented this change, and I've seen the positive effects on my son. He's done midday with school for the entire week on Friday, and then I've observed that he seems more relaxed by Friday afternoon, less lethargic, less quote unquote brain dead, just because he's been, thrust in using this online learning format, which is, really not what he signed on for. He definitely prefers to be face to face, and a lot of our teens do too. So, it's been really good that the school was responsive in that way. So, you need to have a set time. I think a lot of people are struggling with when to be on, when to be off. When are your work hours? When are your school hours? Especially if you are not required to be on this as a set time. So the other piece I was thinking about is you need to have a set time, like work boundaries, school boundaries, time to be on the screen and time to be away from it. We need to spend more time being unplugged and playing right now. We need to be relaxing, we need to be creating, or we need to just be doing nothing, because we are really exhausting our brains right now, just dealing with what's going on with staying at home, and then also the different way of working and learning. So, if you can set your office hours, so to speak, when you're doing school, when you're doing work, and then when you're not doing that time, take a break from the screens, any kind of screen, and do something different. So those are just some suggestions I've had in response to that question. I love to hear what everybody else is doing in regards to having video conferencing fatigue. How are you helping your teens get things done? How are you supporting them? How are you supporting yourself? What tips or trips or hacks do you have in regards to combating that mental fatigue from being on video and conferencing so much? So leave me a comment or reach out to me via my contact form on boldlivingtoday.com. I'd love to hear your thoughts about this topic.